everybody, Karen here from Quilt Direct, down in Devon, right on the edge of Dartmoor. A lovely spot to be. I'm going to give you a whistle-stop tour of the Accuquilt system, something that I use almost every day and has meant a great deal to me and helped me with my quilting because my fingers and my joints are not what they used to be. So I'm just going to introduce you first of all to all four machines. Okay, we're starting with the little one, and she is little. She's absolutely wonderful. She's a fantastic little machine. Okay, it's manual. All you need to do is open it up. The other elements that you need dies, and these are dies. They have the blades in here. If I press, I can feel it, but it doesn't hurt me. And there, talk about the variety of dies in a moment. I need my fabric. On this one, I'm going to do 2 layers. You can cut up to 6 layers at a time, which makes it so fast. And of course, the other thing is it's really, really accurate. As well as your die and your fabric, you always need to have a mat. Mat goes on the top. That gives it the right thickness and the ability to go through the machines. The machines are all based on the same same premise. Here is a roller. You put your die in and you roll manually. The pressure is created because of the depth of your die and your mat and your fabric. A little bit like Nanny's mangle used to be. You push it in to get going. Make sure you're turning it the right way. You turn your handle to put the die through. Give it a little bit of a rub. In America, they say give it a bit of love, and that stops the static. Remove your mat and your bits that you've cut. In this instance, rather, a 1/4 square triangle, and I have right away, in a flash, 8 1/4 square triangles. And of course, they're really accurate. Now, the other benefit is, if you can see, I think against my jumper, you should be able to see that you've actually got your 1/4 inch seam allowance there, which makes it really accurate and really easy to sew together. So that's the baby, or what's now called the Go Me. Folds up nicely. You can just pick it up and slot it underneath your desk. The next one in the range is the same sort of machine, but it's a little bit bigger. That means you can use a slightly larger range of dies to go through it, because the dies that you use are determined by the width of this bit here. So taking a slightly bigger one, I've got here a large hexagon, and as you can see, it will fit through. So I can take that one, put some fabric on, and in exactly the same way, I can cut my hexagon or whatever it is that I want to cut. Works in exactly the same way. It's manual and it folds up in the same way. So that's the second one in the range. The third one is a new addition to the family. This one has the same width here as the one I've just shown you. So this hexagon, for example, will go through there no problem. But the added benefit of this one is it is electric. So I can switch it on. Okay, so with this one, I'm going to run through the hexagon die. I'm going to put my fabric on. You make sure that you're covering the die. I've got a little bit too much here, so I'm going to trim that off. Now, it is said that by some people that Accuquilt can be quite wasteful. But actually, if you pre-cut your fabric, so if I was going to do 6 hexagons, I would make sure that they are the optimum size to cover the die. Again, I put my mat on, and this time she's going to take it through automatically. Now this one does up to 4 layers. Because she's a little bit of a smaller engine on her than the next one I'm going to show you. It's a maximum of 4 layers of fabric. Okay, Then moving on to the big daddy. So this one again is electric. This one has a wider opening. So this takes all of the range of Accuquilt dies. As you can see, the distance here is a lot bigger. I'm going to run through this one a strip die. Now, of all the dies, the strip dies are probably the most useful. This one is a 2.5-inch cut, 2-inch finish. And again, you can put up to 6 layers. It's got 3 strips on this die. 6 times 3, you're doing 18 2.5-inch strips in one go. Now, I'm actually going to fan fold this a little bit so you can see that you don't have to do 6 different layers. You can actually fan fold your fabric so you can make a really long strip, which is great if you're doing some binding. So I'll put this one on. And again, I have to use a mat. Pop that one through. Hands free. Now, if I take the 2 edges off, not a lot of wastage there. And I have 3 beautifully accurately cut 2.5-inch strips. Now, if you do have a strip cutter, what you can do is place that strip back along. You've got guidelines on your die. You can place it back along and you can then put it through the cutter again and you will end up with 2.5-inch squares, which are really useful. Just a little hint and tip, if by any chance I was to do these here and put these back and cut my 2.5-inch squares, I don't have to use the whole big mat, which obviously is one of the more expensive ones because it's large. As long as I am covering what I am cutting, I can use a smaller die, which is economically sensible. So I'm just going to put that through to show you. And I have loads and loads of 2.5-inch squares, which is brilliant because it's so fast. Okay, so types of dies. We've done the machines. We're going to look at the types of dies, and they fall into certain categories. So the one that I use mostly and I find most important are what we call the piecing dies. It's what I do. I piece, I patchwork and quilt. And there is virtually a die for everything. The most useful set that I use is what's called a cube. And this is a cube, comes really nicely presented. Inside here are 8 dies, and they all work together. So this one is a 9-inch cube. There is a 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, and 16-inch cube. Got a 9-inch cube here. It consists of 8 dies, and all those dies work together. So for this one, for example, open it up and I've got a 5-inch cut square, meaning it's 4.5 inches when I sew it together. Along with that will work a half square triangle, a quarter square triangle, a rectangle, a parallelogram, a square on point, and everything else you need to make as many blocks as you can possibly imagine. It is a fab little set. And for a piecer, that's amazing. So that's the cubes. And then, of course, you've got the individual piecing dies, like this one, which we looked at just now, a quarter square triangle in all sorts of sizes. And then you can also, from the piecing side, we can use what's called a bob die. Now, a bob stands for block on board. This one that I've grabbed is a pineapple block. And you can see there's your centre square, and you've got all the pieces that you need to go around to make your pineapple block. Everything you need for that block is on that board. Now, sometimes you need to run it through twice to make the whole block. Sometimes everything is there for one block. Now, if you want to do something like the pineapple and you want to do it in different colours, what you do is you would subcut your fabric to do that bit, and they've laid it out on the board so that you can do the colour variations, and then you would cover another bit in a different colour with your next colour and then your next colour again. So you lay on top, generally cut in a sort of rectangle, what it is you need, run it through, and that's all your pieces you need to cut, to make a pineapple block. And there are lots and lots of these, they're great fun. So that's the piecing, and obviously not forgetting the strip cutters, which come under the piecing dies. All sorts of sizes, 2.5 inch, the jelly roll size is one of the most popular. I love this one, which is a 1 inch cut, so 1/2 inch finished. And I use this for all sorts of things. So these, for example, sometimes I did actually buy those little mini charm packs. And at other times I actually cut my own because I have a 2.5 inch square die that's got, I think, 9 2.5 inch squares on it. So you can cut 6 nines are 54. You can cut 54 squares in one pass, magic stuff. And then obviously my 1 inch strips, which I then put on those. And you can run these up so quickly. They're great, great fun. There's another example here of a really quite tiny triangle. Again, I cut, and this is quite interesting because I cut one layer of red, then one layer of white, right sides together. And then another layer I put on of red with another white, right sides together, laid up 6 layers, so 3 pairs. And then when you cut them, you take them off and don't separate them. So you're actually putting less strain on your biased edge of your triangle. So that works really well. So there's all sorts of hints and tips that you can do with your Accuquilt. So that's the piecing dies. Then you've got your applique dies. And again, that opens another world completely. So here, for example, I have got what's called the cute car. He is here somewhere, unless he's driven away. There he is. Now for these, what you need to do is iron on a fusible, cut your shape, whatever it happens to be. There are so many applique dies, they're amazing. This one has the main car, the 2 windows, and the 2 wheels. You cut all of those in whatever colours you want with your Bonder web or fusible of some sort on the back. And then obviously you iron them down and you stitch them down. Now, for those of you who have embroidery modules, you get with every applique die 3 free stitches. A blanket stitch, a satin stitch, and what's called a motif stitch. But if you want to go a step further than that, you can actually buy designs by a lovely lady whose company is called V-Stitch Designs, and you can get all sorts of different designs. So for this, all of these I'm going to show you now are the cute car, a Valentine one. Actually has hearts coming out of the exhaust. She thinks of amazing things. Love this one. So this one's a dinosaur one. Going to the zoo. A Christmas one. Halloween one or two. And I know I should probably have a St Andrew's one, but unfortunately all I've got at the moment is a St Patrick's one. Sorry about that, ladies. So you can extend the use of your dye in so many ways. It's absolutely brilliant. If you want to just be simple with your designs, there's an example here of a teapot and teacups. Both of these are dyes that are done by Accuquilt. And all I've used here is the free blanket stitch to go around. And it makes up really quickly and very effectively. On the applique die, so here I've grabbed one that is for making emoji faces. But obviously you can look at this and say, well, okay, I've got a circle here. If I just want something in a circle, I just cover that with fabric and cut it. Or I want a smaller circle, I cover that and I use it. So you don't actually have to just use it for doing emojis. You can use it for all sorts of things. You've got a heart shape there, for example. Just as a little aside, this is great for charity things if you're doing a stand and you want to sell things. This is a circle. Okay, so easy and accurately cut with the Accuquilt. Folded is actually taken from a serviette fold and it makes a Christmas tree which you can sell as, I don't know, hanging things, or you can put them on front of cards, etc. But it means that I'm actually using my dies for something other than what they think they are for, which is great fun. Okay, well, I think that's a rapid run through of what the Accuquilt can do and how it can be helpful to you. Think about any questions that you have and we'll run through them when we've got a free moment. Okay, hope you've enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. Signing out.